Okay, so welcome in. It's Saturday night. It's time for Pure Class with Bobby Bass and our WrestleTalk tonight. We've had some technical difficulties, a little late starting. Thank you so much for the patience shown by Mr. Colin Cutler, our special guest tonight. But before we get to Colin, we're going to introduce my co-host John Greeley and the star of the show. Who's gone wandering? The doddering old fool's wandering around the kitchen now. So. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. No Class, Bobby Bass. Welcome in. And then we got Colin up there posting off his merch.
I'm just pushing merch, man.
That's always the proper way to do it. So we want to welcome in from the west coast of Canada, our very special guest tonight, one half of the tag team of the year on the west coast, what I'd like to think is the tag team of the year, is Cougar Meath, and it is the one and only Mr. Colin Cutler. Welcome to the show tonight, Colin.
Hey, how you doing? You know, Jeff, I've done other things other than being a tag team.
Well, so you know, I was going to get to that, but I thought I'd work it in a little bit slickly. See, he is the current All-Star Wrestling Cruiserweight champion.
Always promoted, brother. Always promoted.
It just happened to be here. It just happened. This is where I keep it, on this chair here. Just worked out that way.
His mom come in and dropped it off for him. She just finished shining it up and everything. That's all.
Speaking of my mom, she is watching, and she just texted me and told me not to use the F word, so I have to keep the swearing to a minimum. A text just came up on this.
Ah, there you go. Got to do what mom says.
I kind of hope you don't use the F word too, Colin. I kind of hope you don't use it. But hey, I'm gonna start off by asking you something, my friend. I've been talking to you on the Facebook for about a year now. I missed you in Vegas last year because of my passport. But I'm looking forward to meeting you in person this year. And I have a personal message for you from Ron Hutchison. And Ron Hutchison said to tell you, he said, tell the most exciting, sensational wrestler in the West Coast, don't forget the BEER. And I'm just relating what he told me. So all right. I related the message.
Kokanee, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Bring the Coke.
I haven't touched myself being a coffee drinking man. I don't touch alcohol. And don't even look at me like that, John. You know, I haven't had a drink of hard liquor. I haven't had a drink of hard liquor since before Christmas. I haven't. I've been doing pretty good.
Good for you.
So hey, I gotta ask you something. I'm talking to Kevin Jeffries. You know Kevin, the man who won't buy anybody a beer in Vegas. You know that.
Kevin Jeffries is cheap, is he?
Oh, I got him a can of 10W40 last year, so you can squeak. I'll put under his arms and legs so he didn't squeak when he walks. That's how tight he is. And I knew him back in the 70s. In the 70s. And you know what he tells me, buddy? He said, I taught Bobby Bass how to take all them bumps. And I say, you're darn right you did, Mike. So the legendary Kevin Jeffries, my good buddy for over 30 years. But he asked me to ask you, and I don't want to get in the bad side of you, so I'm just going to ask you straight out, okay? I heard Kyle Sebastian made you what you are today. Is that true or false? I'm asking you right here in this program. Now, you can be man up and say, yes, he did, or you guys did it together, and get that smile off your face, because I know you're going to give me a sassy answer.
No, I'm actually not going to give you a sassy answer. I've actually said this in interviews before. Kyle, because I was trained by Storm. I went to Lance Storm Academy, and Storm gave us the basics, and he gave me my foundation, and it was the best 3 months of my life, and I can't say enough good things about Lance Storm's training style. But I've always said that Kyle Sebastian has taught me just as much, if not more, about this business. I have learned just as much, if not more, from Kyle Sebastian because he's just a natural talent. He knows what he's talking about, and he didn't give me any slack, and that's what I needed. He told me when I sucked. He told me when things were good, and he beat the shit out of me for 3 years because we weren't a team always. We feuded for almost 2 years.
Oh.
And he beat the shit out of me for 2 years.
I'm going to ask you one more thing. I saw a picture of Kyle for Thanksgiving Day. He had the belt around his neck, covering the privates. Now, I sent a personal message to him. Now, maybe you can just fill in my audience. I said, hey, I heard there's nothing big behind that belt. You've been in the shower with him. You can tell us. Come on, it's time to get a shot in.
I actually can tell you. I've peaked once or twice. No, he's all good. He's all
Needing a magnifying glass.
he meets the Cougar Meat standards.
Oh, good.
It's just,
Cougar
let's just
Meat.
he meets the Cougar Meat standards.
Okay.
I exceed them. I exceed the
Okay,
Cougar Meat
good.
standards, but he's at least up to snuff.
The funny thing is Mr. Bass called me when he saw that on the phone and said, "Hey, have you seen that picture of Kyle Sebastian with the belt hanging down over his privates?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, listen, any chance you could pick me up one of those toy mini replica belts so I can make one of me for next year for Christmas to send out?" And I said, "Well, that, you know."
And that'd be too big. Yes. Oh boy, oh boy. But I saw a couple of good videos on you guys, and I was impressed what I saw. I met Kyle a couple of years ago in Vegas. Nice. We lost him, but we met him down there, and what a guy! He's a great guy, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in April when we go down. Now we lost your picture, but we got your audio. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear everyone. I still see my audio up, but I don't know.
Cool. We can hear you, so that's the main part. We can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay.
So anyway, listen, I got to tell you something there, Colin. This program is about you tonight. Not you and your take wrestling. We bring you on, and like I am 100% Canadian. As everybody knows, I booked at the Texas Outlaw, the closest I've been to Texas. And the boys know it's a John Wayne movie on a Saturday afternoon. Jeff told me one time, he said, "You're really from Texas, aren't you?" I said, "No." And I told him I'm from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. He said, "Get out of here. I don't believe that. All them years I thought you were from Texas." So I guess I'm going to play the part real well. But this is your show tonight. So we're going to ask you all kinds of questions. You can tell it to piss off. Don't bother me. Up yours. But we'll get you in Vegas. Don't worry about I'll do your back. But this is your show tonight. And boys, let's rip them. Let's talk to them. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Okay, so
let's go.
You got trained by Lance Storm, which is a hell of a worker.
Correct.
I never met the man before, but I know his work. He's a hell of a worker. Your first match was where? Where'd you work your first match?
So my first match was a couple months right out of camp. I was actually booked by Scotty Mack before I was done training, and that was just kind of through people I knew. So I was pretty lucky there. And they were running shows in Kelowna, BC, which is where I was born.
Mm-hmm.
So they had me on because I was hometown. So I was in May 2008. Shows I'm getting old. May 2008 in Kelowna, BC against Sid Silem. And I forgot all of my shit at the end. And the match was real short. And I got jobbed out real quick. But your first match always is the shits.
Yeah, I worked with a guy. Remember the movie Clockwork Orange? Remember that movie?
I love Clockwork Orange.
Remember the big black guy, Ricky Stewart? He used to be like this. Well, my first match was against Ricky Stewart in Woodbridge, Ontario. And I swear to God, as I sit here, he picked me up and threw me upside down in a garbage can. And I said, hell,
Jesus.
I made it in the business. And, I was a jobber for a lot of years, like we all are, until you get your break. And you sound like, to me, you love this business as much as I did, or maybe more. But I was telling John when he was off here, I worked 7 days a week for a year in the gym. Every day. Phil Watson, a great teacher. I went boom. So when I left that gym, I hope you understand this. When I left the gym, I had no fear of taking a bump, taking a chop, taking anything. I knew what I was doing in that ring. And I think today, I hope you agree with me, or you may not agree, or the guys. I don't think there's a lot of young, great talent out there today. Don't get me wrong. Canada got a lot of great talent. But are they trained properly? Because I seen that some guys in the dressing room, Colin, take 2 steps to the left, 1 to the right. What the hell are you talking? What are you doing? And when we did it, now you know this yourself, and Kevin will be in a few minutes. We called a match in the ring. We never discussed it in the dressing room. If I'd and he said Colin got the sleeper, that's all I need to know. I'll get him, boom, boom. They call a match, take it up, take it down, boom, going over. And that's what we did. We never did two steps to the left, one to the right, ducking a punch. And I'm old school, I'll be honest with you. And I still think that should be in the repertoire today. The guys, not going to the dressing room and talking to matches. Do it in the ring. I think that's missing from today. Your opinion on that, my friend?
And it's a good point, and I've had this conversation with people before. Jeffrey's one of them as well. I think that in this time period, in this era, it's a little too hard to not, I don't want to say plan or choreograph, but not to have some sort of plan going out there. I think the business has progressed to be too fast paced now, and has to do with attention spans, right? It has to do with technology, and it has to do with everybody wants everything faster. But I do agree with you that it is overdone a lot. And I think the problem is we have a lot of the young indie guys coming up now, not being taught psychology properly, which is one thing Storm drilled into us over and over again. If you can do all the moves in the world, but if the crowd doesn't give a shit about you or what you're doing, then you've just blown yourself up for 20 minutes and proven nothing to anybody, and the crowd doesn't give a shit, and you've tired them out, and the next guy comes on and has to work that much harder. So I agree that we've lost a lot of that emotional connection, but I think to go out and to have every match on the card go out and wing it, I don't think that enough guys have that ability now. And I think with the pace that we have to keep up now because of the expectations being put on younger wrestlers, I think it might be a little too difficult to do that. But I do agree that there is a beauty and an art to going out and feeling out the crowd and just calling it out there. So I think we need to try to maybe find a middle ground, right?
Okay, I got a question from Xenia Walker for you. Colin, did you name yourself after Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, no, I did read that. And
okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just going to ask you a question.
So, yeah, I read that. Yeah, no, I didn't name myself after Shawn Michaels. I can tell you the story of how Cougar Mate came to be. It was me sitting in the locker room amongst the 2 years where Kyle was beating the shit out of me all the time, but we had gotten pretty close because he lived in Kelowna. Kyle lived in Kelowna, and we had slowly gotten closer and closer.
With the Cougar Meat.
But yeah, so we were in the locker room, and I told Kyle that I wanted to get a shirt that just said Cougar Meat. I thought it'd be funny to bring to the bars and just to wear, right? It would get a good reaction. But I thought it was clever, but I don't think I realized the potential in it. And as soon as I told Kyle that, you should have, like, the face he gave me, he didn't say he liked it because Kyle never would. He would not say anything and then steal the idea from you. So he kind of just looked at me, and I could tell he wanted to do it first. I knew he was going to try and steal it, and I just looked at him and said, "Don't you dare fucking steal that idea." And he kind of just kind of snickered at me and like kind of gave me the look like, "Okay, we'll see who makes the shirt first," right? So I end up getting a shirt made and picked Kyle up at Kevin Jeffrey's house for a road trip. And I was wearing the shirt that said Cougar Meat. I still wear it to this day. It's just a sleeveless like this. I couldn't find the fucking thing. I was going to wear it on there, but so I showed up with the shirt, and he just swore at me up and down and was kind of pissed off that I got there first. And then I pulled out a second Cougar Meat shirt and I threw it at him, and I had made 2 Cougar Meat shirts. And so we didn't really think about making it a gimmick or anything. And then we started on local shows. We started putting the shirts on and just walking out in the middle of main events and sitting in the crowd. And then when the tag team match main events were over, we would just stand up on the chairs and just show these 2 Cougar Meat shirts and just basically try to push to get booked as a team. We kind of forced promoters to slowly start booking us as a team because we kept just coming out during these shows. And that's how Cougar Meat started. And then we just started doing it on shows, and it just progressed from there. But I do love Shawn Michaels. Don't get me wrong.
I got another one for you, bud. Cougar Meat.
Yeah.
Because you were both really good looking boys, and we all want you from a woman. I'm going to mention her name. You know what, Connie? Connie Josie?
Yeah, I know Connie.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Connie.
Here's one from some guy said, "What are you doing after the show? I'd like to buy you a
What
drink."
am I doing after the show? You want to buy me
I'd
a
like
drink?
to-
You come down to Kelowna, you can buy me a drink. Male, female, dog, cat. You want to buy me a drink? You come on down.
I'll tell you one thing, Colin. I haven't met you yet, but I got a good
Yeah.
feeling you're a good guy. I'll tell you one guy. We want to get him on the air here in a minute, Jeff. Bring him on. Kevin Jeffries. He
Oh,
wouldn't buy you
Jesus.
a drink if it's like, and you know him. Put Kevin on.
I know.
Jeff, can you get Kevin on? I can't hear Jeff. Can anybody hear him?
No.
I can't hear
Sorry,
Jeff.
sorry, I muted myself
No.
because my phone started ringing there.
He
There we go.
muted. We've had enough technical problems, Jeffy. Don't mute
Yeah,
yourself.
the phone started ringing there, so I hit the mute.
Okay.
Popular guys.
Jeff, I
Bobby
know,
Bass.
No, if Kevin's, I know Kevin's watching. If Kevin has a webcam and he'd like to call in, if he can just post in the chat and let me know, and then what I'll do is I'll slip out for a moment, and John can bring him in, and then Kevin can call in. So if he wants to, just let me know so we can open up a seat because there's just 4 seats available.
So Bobby Bass,
okay.
I'm gonna give you the secret. Bobby, I'm gonna give you the secret to get a free drink from Kevin. I figured it out. You want to know what it is?
Oh, tell me, please. I'll write it down.
You just got to show
ahead.
up at his house. You just show up at his house and you just go down
Yeah.
and just take beer from his fridge. That's the easiest. You want free drinks, just show up and just take them.
But that's great. That's good. But I want him to dig into his pocket in Vegas and buy it.
It's not going to
And
happen.
He had he got the same buck he went to Vegas with 4 years ago. Still got the same dollar.
That wallet
I'm
has
telling
got
you
that wallet has got a lock and code on it, and he forgot that code years ago.
And it's true. But anyway, so you had your first match when you worked. So
Yeah.
when did you? And unfortunately, and I find it shouldn't be. We should have territories again. I think that's what a lot of young guys would learn this business. And I think Jeff and John agree with me. When we were down, like in John knows and Jeff knows, the Maritimes, 7 nights a week, 7 nights with different guys. And then you go to Montreal, you work the 7 nights. You go to Calgary and you work the 7 nights. BC, you work, and you learn your craft, and you learn how to work a crowd, and you know how to be a pro wrestler. Today, kids are having a job and they come out and they have 2 matches a month. They think they're superstars. And I'm be honest, I gotta agree with that. I think if you get in there and you work your butt off, and pay your dues, you go places in this business.
Yeah. Well, and I agree. And I always say I was born in the wrong era because you're right. Job to live and still be wrestling, so you end up only wrestling 4 to 8 times in a month, and there's no way you can build that experience working 4 to 8. Like, I've been in this business for 8 years, and really only the last 3 years have I really started to get this business and understand truly how to work a crowd and to be good. Like, the first 5 years of my career, I fucking sucked. Like, I got a belt and had championships, and I was better than a lot of people that I was on shows with. But in the grand scheme of things I know now, like, I sucked, right? And it's what you're saying. I don't get those matches. Working 7 nights a week.
Yeah, 7 nights a week, and you learn your craft. Kevin,
longer.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, you okay there?
I'm good. I'm just I'm getting some messages on Facebook from Mr. Jeffries. He says his webcam is not working at the moment, but he said the show is about Colin Cutler not chewing and putting his mentor Kevin Jeffries down. So he says we'll lay off him.
I'll make Jeffries feel better.
If you can hear this. Go ahead.
I will admit I have actually been pinned in the ring by Jeffries 1, 2, 3. So I've jobbed to Kevin Jeffries, if that makes him feel any better.
Yeah, I was supposed to bring that up. He phoned me personally and said, "Hey,
I knew
Colin Butler on there."
Yeah.
He said, "Tell him he did a job." Yeah.
I have jobbed to Kevin Jeffries. And I refused to tell Kyle Sebastian about it after as well, so he was pretty hot about that. I tried to avoid it.
Now, I just want to pop in here a second. Now, I've seen, like I say, I mean, I've been involved with doing some stuff with All Star Wrestling from afar here from the East Coast with doing their website and such, and I feel like I've gotten to know all the guys out there, even though many of them, like this is my first time I've ever talked to Colin, but I feel like I've known him for about 3 years, and it's nice to be able to get to meet the guys. But I've noticed now lately, I haven't seen much of the Colin Cutler, Kyle Sebastian, Cougar Meat duo. You've gone more out on your own and gotten the cruiserweight title now. Is there trouble in paradise there, or is it just taking a break, or is Kyle wrestling elsewhere temporarily, or what's going on there? Oh, and Colin freezes.
No trouble in paradise.
What's that? Sorry, you froze up there. Sorry.
Hi, I'm here. I said no trouble in paradise. I love that man like a brother. He is my brother. I absolutely love the man. No, he moved to Lethbridge. He is doing the dad thing.
Oh,
believe it or not. So he's kind of settling with that, and we'll see where we go from there. But no, I've been enjoying the Cougar Meat singles. Obviously, I love tagging. Anybody that wants to convince Kyle to take a booking and you want to book us, Cougar Meat is money. It's money. The Cougar Meat tag team is money. It doesn't matter where we are in United States, Canada, around the world. We're money. We're a great tag team, but he's doing his thing. I believe he's training some guys in Lethbridge right now, which for all those guys that are in Lethbridge and have Kyle Sebastian as a resource and you're not showing up to those classes, shame on you. And if you should just burn your fucking boots now and get out, because to have Kyle teaching you is priceless. And I know he's probably not taking a big paycheck for that. He's doing that because he loves this business more than anybody. He has a lot of passion for it, and he's one of the most naturally gifted people at it. So much so that it pisses me off. And it's not just wrestling. It's fucking everything. If he does it 4 times, he's an expert at it. He's one of those guys. So no trouble in paradise. But I really right now I'm focusing on my singles career. It's going great. Second run as cruiserweight champion for All-Star, which is a blessing. The cruiserweight division in that company, we're working really hard at building it up. There's a lot of really good cruiserweights, so I'm hoping that we continue to build it, and I hope that it keeps growing, because a select few of those cruiserweights, and I'm not going to say all of them, but a select few of them work their asses off and deserve those spots and deserve the time. So it's going pretty good. But no, as of right now, the Cougar Meat tag team is on hold.
Cool. Well, I'll definitely keep that in mind, that you guys guys can travel around and such, because I know we've got a few promotions down here on the East Coast and some things going on for the summer. So if anybody's looking to bring you guys down, we'd love to have you guys come down the East Coast. So I'll definitely pass the information on to some of the promoters locally here too. So.
Well,
for sure.
I'm working on it too. I might have a thing going for Colin at the cruiserweight thing. I'm working on the tag team thing. I think I mentioned it to you guys on the phone, or Kevin. So that's still in the works, and I got my fingers crossed it's going to work. I've been putting you guys over real well.
Right.
But, Colin, do you feel that you're over at this moment? And is it true that any reaction from the crowd is a good reaction? That's from Zanza Walker.
100%. 100%. If you don't believe that all reactions are good reactions, look at John Cena. And I'm not the hugest John Cena fan, but just look at John Cena. Whether you like him or you hate him, the entire crowd reacts when it comes out. It's as simple as that. He's been there for years, right?
And you know what? I got to tell you something. And Jeff knows how I feel, but I think Johnny did too. And maybe Johnny would jump in if you're not quiet lately. But when I went into that arena, to work with Leo Burke or whoever, the Cuban, whatever, my main thing was get out there and get that reaction. And I found it, because no class Bobby Bass, I guess, I found it so easy to do. Some guys struggle with it. And I was told I had to it didn't have like the voice. I didn't have the body. But I just loved when 8,000 people said, up yours or F you or something. You go, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And Johnny's sitting right over here in the corner. Johnny will tell you, he's been there many of the matches that we had fun with. And That's what I had. I had fun being at Carrington No Class Bobby Bass. And I just loved the guy. Too bad we had to bury him. But, would you agree or disagree, brother? Johnny's not talking.
Oh, were you talking to me? I thought you were talking to Colin.
No, I said Johnny 3 times, old guy. Clean the air.
Anyhow, exactly. I agree with what you're saying, Bob, because watching you for many years, just a little thing. Say, for example, you go to lock up with Leo Burke or the Cuban or Bobby K or Rudy K or whoever, and you just step out of the ring and you throw your hands up. And you get booed out of the place, but that was the reaction you were looking for. Doesn't take a lot, just a little thing. And you were a master at it. And I have a question for Colin. Your early influences in now, first of all, I want to clarify something. Colin, do you consider yourself a pro wrestler or a sports entertainer?
Oh, good question. Good question.
That is a good question. I'd have to think about it. I would consider myself a professional wrestler because I think being a professional wrestler, it makes you a sports entertainer, right? I think they're somewhat one and the same. A professional wrestler is an athletic performer. I think getting away from the word wrestling would be the biggest crime to this business. And I know it's been talked about, and I know CM Punk is a big reason why it didn't go away, because he probably said wrestling and wrestler every promo he had live on Raw for, and we can't thank him enough for that. We're wrestlers. We're professional wrestlers. We should be proud of being professional wrestlers. Regardless of what people say, whether they say it's not real, it's choreographed, I can't even say it. I don't like that F word. But I don't care. The thing is, and I'm probably getting off topic, and I'm going to forget what the original question was, but when you start saying the word fake, it pisses me off for one reason, is because the amount of injuries that myself and other people accumulate, and then to have somebody just come up and tell you it's fake, it's just like, fuck you. You get in there. Let's see you get in there and last 3 or 4 minutes, right?
5 Fs. 5 Fs, and your mother's going to kick you off.
I know. My mom's losing her mind right now.
When I see your mother, you can bet your ass.
She has a worse mouth than I do. She's not one.
The Bass Man wants to start surgery for you so he can afford beer when they go to Vegas. See,
that's right.
No, and it's true though, because what you were saying is I think that you can't be a sports entertainer if you aren't a pro wrestler, because that is the basis of what you do. I mean, you can get in there and you can talk and you can have a great gimmick, but if you get in that ring and you can't wrestle and entertain in between the ropes as far as your athletic ability and your wrestling knowledge, it means nothing. We've had some wrestlers here in the Maritimes. John's probably seen some in the last couple of years at some shows that have no business being in a wrestling ring. They can't entertain, and now they get on the mic, and I guess they figure, wow, what I lack in the wrestling ring, I can make up on the mic. Well, no, you can't, because when the bell rings, all the talking in the world that you've done and all the entertaining you've done before the bell means nothing, because all anybody remembers is what a shitty match you put on and how terrible you are and how you shouldn't even be in the ring.
Well, 100%, but I also believe it goes both ways. You can be the best technical wrestler in the world, but if you have no personality, then you just don't make that connection, right? So it 100% goes both ways, which is why I don't like the argument either way, whether we're sports entertainers or just pure wrestlers, that it's all this sport. And you have to really make it, you need both of those things, right? And you really need one of several things. You either need size, or you need personality, or you need technical ability. So you have to be able to talk on the mic, you have to be able to be a technical wrestler, or you just have to be a giant. And you can get away with 2 of those 3 things, or maybe if you have one of those to the extreme. But to really make it, I think it's best to have all 3 of those things. Which is a valid point, because I don't have the size, which is obviously I'm still on the independents, right? So it's all those things play a big role and are a big factor.
Right. And we have like I've seen now, for example, when I go back to watching Bobby when he was in Grand Prix when I was a kid. Now he was now, and this is not to blow Mr. Bass's horn, because if I do, he'll go with this for years. So, but when Bobby was in Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling when I was younger, he would wrestle a match, whether it be a singles or a tag team match, put on a 20-minute, 25-minute match. He'd go back, get showered, change into the tuxedo. He'd come out and he'd manage a match, maybe 2 matches, get the fans riled up and stuff. Then he'd go over to the broadcast table and he would commentate for a couple matches and be entertaining as could be. He had, all those the factors. You don't see that a lot in a lot of wrestlers these days. There are some that are great at it that can do all those sorts of things. And even watching WWE, you see some people that are great in some of their interviews. They may be great in the matches. Then they sit them down at the interview at the ringside table during Raw to commentate during their opponents' matches, and it's just, it's almost like maybe you should have just not stuck them at ringside, because their conversational skills, as far as that goes, may not be as good as a bit of something they've had time to think about in a promo. So, but
right. Well, and I always tell the younger guys this a lot, is know what you do well and do that. And try not to, until you've practiced and gotten better at other aspects, only do the things that you're good at, right? So if you're not good on the mic, don't go out and grab the mic. It's as simple as that, right? Until you learn and get better at it. And you see it a lot. It's the same thing with moves. Like, if you've never done a move before, why the fuck are you going out there and doing it, right? Like, don't do it out in front of a crowd. Is that 6? That's 6
especially
now?
when you've got someone else's physical well-being in your hands too. If you haven't done something or don't know how to do it, you shouldn't be out there, because you're not only going to hurt yourself, but more importantly, your opponent.
Right. And like I was saying before, I have to have, or me and most indie guys have to have a job outside of wrestling. We have other bookings. Most of us work for several promotions. So if I go to one promotion, you hurt me, and I have to go cancel a booking I have to go explain to another promoter that I got hurt because some guy picked me up and tried to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be pissed. I don't want to be canceling bookings and taking time off work because somebody tried something that they shouldn't have been trying.
Now, how is that on the West Coast as far as now? Here on the East Coast, we've got it's getting to be a growing number of promotions between PEI, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and they're all doing very well.
Yeah.
But it seems to be a lot of, if you go work for another promotion, you're not working for me kind of thing. They try to keep guys working just for one. How do you guys find that in your area?
Yeah.
Are all the promoters very good to kind of not mind you going elsewhere, or they want pretty exclusive for you to work for them?
No, you do have to be pretty exclusive. Well, it depends where you are, right? Like, I live in Kelowna, and then if there's any companies in Kelowna, like there's a few, and we have our charity shows, and that's usually never a problem. But in Vancouver, yeah, it's usually one or the other. Yeah. Very
good.
Well, I mean, when I was in the business, we the same thing. We couldn't go work for another promoter, because they were pushing. They wouldn't want you to take everything you had to go to him and work for him, and that was the rule. You don't go to another promoter unless you finish up, like John and Jeff know. You did the 5 months in the Maritimes, then you went to Calgary.
Yeah.
Or you went to BC. So you wasn't infringing on the territory. But just let me say what you were saying a minute ago. I got something here. Somebody wanted to ask you. Do you think AJ Styles will open doors like Daniel Bryan did for smaller guys? And the other guy said, I don't think he will. I have a bad feeling already that he's going to be used in the right way. I mean, putting him against Chris Jericho, honestly, don't you think that story goes a little bit too far? The one guy,
so I will answer. One second. I need to plug this phone in because I was on the iPad before. So 1 second. Now my battery's dying.
I'll talk to John. John, you're not saying much tonight. You okay? You got the flu?
No. You guys are having such a great. I don't want to be rude and interrupt such a great conversation.
Why change your personality? Jump right in. Be like me.
Why change?
Hold on. I'm just getting a text here that's informed me it's been exactly 22 minutes since Colin's shown us the belt. So,
Oh, I just plugged the phone in. Hold on, I gotta go get the belt.
You get over there before I told you to.
That's okay. See, the nice thing about using the phone is it's mobile, so that works out.
Who said that? Who said that?
A friend of mine texted me and said it's been 22 minutes since Colin's shown the belt, so it's about time. There we go. And a gratuitous belt shot. So.
I haven't shown my merch in about 23 minutes. So should I go
what you got there? You have some merch. Fans know where to get. Get that
plug, Colin.
Like if I
any local show, the rest of my merch is in the car. But funny story about the merch actually. So me and Kyle, when we first started the Cougar Meat gimmick, we got these foam fingers, and it's probably 2-3 years ago. Okay, so we were good guys, or baby faces for all those smart marks out there. And when you're a baby face, merch sells, right? We all know this. Sells a little bit more when you're a baby face. So we went and bought 100 foam fingers, which is not a cheap adventure to go into. And then we buy these foam fingers, and we turned heel, I think maybe a week after we bought 100 of these foam fingers.
Oh.
So I still have these stupid things. I love the foam fingers. They're a great merch idea, and nobody else is doing them. But as a heel, they don't go as quickly as you'd like them to. So I still have a few of them left.
Well, see, if the fans would only realize that if they bought your foam finger now that you're heels, rip the finger off and tape it in the middle. It could almost be like giving you guys a finger. So it's
there. You go. So
rip them off and tape them
all
on.
of you, all of you in Cologne and Vancouver, come buy a foam finger. You can do whatever you want. And I don't know about everyone else, but I'm a big fan of two fingers. So come in, I'm just two fingers over one finger. So that's just my own personal thing. I don't know what you girls are into. Some girls like one finger, some want to come in and get two, three, even if you're a real hardcore Cougar Meat fan. So come on, they're $10 a finger. Why are you laughing, Jeff? Why are you laughing?
You're an entertaining fan. I just
don't
wish you were here on the East Coast so I could see this act live. I mean, seriously.
One finger or two, it's your call.
Colin, have you been approached? Have you been approached by any East Coast promoters about coming out this way to do some work?
Not once.
No.
No, it's a shame.
You do call us first so we can tell you whether you should come or not.
Okay, I will. I'll run it by you.
Yeah,
first.
we know who you should and shouldn't come out for. So
you guys can be my agent. Bass, you're my new
Oh,
agent.
don't let him be your agent.
I heard that.
Okay, Jeff, you're my new agent then.
No, do you have anything online? Do fans outside of the local area can get merchandise, or is it just locally at the shows? Or
No, it's just locally at the shows. If there was enough demand for it, I probably would. And if I get some shirts made, I probably would. Honestly, I want to push the fingers and get the fingers kind of sold off before I start buying shirts.
Yeah.
But hey, who doesn't want to wear a Cougar Meat shirt to the bar?
Well,
So
exactly.
I think shirts are definitely the next thing I'm going to go for. But it's a little different now that me and Kyle aren't kind of going in on the merch together. So it's a little bit
expensive for just one person to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more fiscally responsible with two people buying merch.
Oh, yeah.
But I definitely will get those shirts made soon.
Well, it's good too because you see. I mean, I noticed now. I don't know so much about out on the West Coast, but I see on the East Coast there's some wrestlers that they don't seem to invest in their gimmicks as much, and I don't know whether it's they can't afford it or whether they just don't believe in the gimmick as much or they don't see anything long term with it. But I mean, it's like it goes. It's nice to show that okay, obviously you guys wanted this to go more than just a short little run, and you really put your money and your efforts and everything into building it into something big. So.
But I think also like we had the advantage of having an actual gimmick, which a lot of people they have their gimmick name or their ring name, but do they actually have a gimmick? Like, is there a character there, or are they just Jackhammer Joe, right? Yeah. And it's totally different to have a name and then to have a real gimmick. And so we were really blessed with building this into like a very hypersexualized character that had a lot of legs to stand on. So that was easier. Also, we were very blessed in being best friends. We were best friends going out acting like best friends. So we could get together and discuss what we wanted to do. Also, two guys that really just love the business and understand the business a little more than others. So we would sit and what do we need? Do we need the merch? Well, okay, well, what are we going to wear? And okay, well, we went and got vests and from a store and then got them tailor made so they look different. Like we put that effort in, but it was also because we could bounce those ideas off each other, and this works and this didn't. And we did a YouTube show called The Meat Market. If you haven't seen it, I'm super proud of it. Kyle Sebastian did 98.9% of the editing for it. From knowing nothing about editing, he self-taught himself. And if you look at a lot of the later episodes, they're brilliantly put together by Kyle. So we had a lot of those character building stepping stones that kind of built our characters. So, and just a lot of things falling into place, right? A good gimmick just kind of falls into place and is an extension of yourself. And me and Kyle are sleazy. Kyle, we're kind of sleazy guys that make sexual jokes, and it's kind of just, and now we have that outlet where we don't have to feel bad about making these jokes, right? So
that was, well, I guess that kind of answers my next question is that how much is the Cougar Meat Kid Colin Cutler like the real man behind the character? Like you're kind of an extension of it, only it's a little more amped up for the wrestling aspect of it.
Yeah, I'd like to say the biggest difference between me and Colin Cougar Meat Colin Cutler is a filter.
Okay.
I have a filter. Colin Cutler does not have a filter at all. And to a point where when that music hits, which that our entrance music is absolutely brilliant. It's my favorite music ever. It gets me so amped up. But when that music hits, I almost black out, to say, right? Like people say they black out and they don't remember doing things. Like the things I do from curtain to curtain, so curtain to ring, back to curtain, like I'll do things that I would have never done in the back or outside of my regular life. And sometimes it just happens, right? It's very, very organic character for me. I don't really have to put a lot of effort into the things I think about, and a lot of things I do are on the fly. If you come to the shows, I feed off the crowd a lot. I play off the girls that are in the crowd. I will hype girls up so they're really into me and then slough them off. Like it's very organic in the way I interact with everyone. So it's always different. It's always got those same little gimmicks that I do, like the pole dancing and the peeling one tights off to have tights underneath. I always have those, but there's always something you're going to see that's different every time I come to the ring, because I'm just being an extension of myself and just going with the flow of the crowd reaction and how everyone's responding to me.
Okay, very good. And we had one of the listeners here says, Colin, your gimmick is intense, and you should tell the story about the time you got real heat from a fan in Kelowna. I'm not sure.
Real heat.
I'm not sure if you're
real. Which time?
Okay, well, maybe they can expand on that a little bit in the chat there so we can find out. But in the meantime, another question I have for you is that how under wraps you guys kept by promoters? I don't know if you guys are told to keep it sort of family friendly, or if you're allowed to just go out there and say, like in All Star with Mark, is he just say, go out there and do what you want, or does he say, listen, guys, kids out there, kind of keep it
right
a little on the easygoing side? But
so I actually have the beauty of this gimmick. I have like 5 stories about that, and so if we start running at a time, stop me.
Oh, go ahead.
Me and Kyle we had these tights made by our seamstress Harmony, and she'll kill me if I don't give her a shout out because she's amazing. She makes all our gear custom. She does did the sound. I don't know if she's still doing the sound for All Star. Sweetheart, I love this girl to death. But me and Kyle designed this CM to be put on the back of our tights, and he did it in the sand on the beaches of Kelowna, and he spent probably 5 or 10 minutes trying to make it work. But it was a C to the M in cursive, but the M came off at the front and the C came up a little higher at the front. So the C came over and then the M came over this way. So the transitional part looked like this in the middle, or like that. So it looked like a U in between the C and the M.
Ah, okay.
So we had these tights made in white on silver, silver leopard print in white on the ass of these tights. And I think we did, John likes this. We did minimum, it's probably more, minimum 2 main events for a Star before he ever even realized what was on these. I think we ended up telling him, and I don't think he really reacted because Star never really does, unless you're pissing him off. But I think he probably just shook his head and walked away. But yeah, we got a few shows in before he really noticed. But Star's good. Star actually, I think he likes that it's different than everything else. We've gotten heat from guys in the back because we have this edgy gimmick, and then there's a guy, and I'm not going to say who his name is because I'm not one to call people out.
Come on, we're
If,
gutless.
Bobby, I'll do it if you want.
We hold nothing back
no.
from pure class, Colin.
Kill it all right there.
Okay, I will. Okay,
Hey,
that's fine.
first of all, before you say his name, if the guy can't take the heat, there's no saying in our business. Get out of the kitchen. You're in there. You work.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
Well, he already. Right.
That's too bad.
I'm pretty sure he already has got out of the business, and everyone in All Star will laugh when I say his name. It was Billy McCoy, and he worked for a few years in All Star, and I had some matches with him. He had gotten a bit of a reputation for burning bridges and annoying people after the shows. He has his own demons like we all do. But he had kind of wanted to do a gimmick where he basically was an alcoholic, where he was drinking beer in promos, and I guess kind of like the Stone Cold thing, but more like he was more closer to like the alcoholism kind of gimmick. And it had gotten shut down, like 100% shot down, because that's a terrible idea, terrible gimmick, and it is very family friendly. Yeah. It's an awful idea, but he had gotten shot down, and he literally threw me under the bus and said, "Colin's allowed to go out there and hump poles, but I can't drink a few beers in a promo." So we get a little bit of heat depending on where you go and depending on who the promoter is. But also kind of guys from the back kind of don't get why we don't get some of those limitations, but they do. But it also depends where you go, right? I usually am the more edgy character on the show, but depending on what the crowd is, I will try to dial it down or up. I think I try harder to dial it up when I know I can than try to dial it down when I know I need to, right? So there's like the standard of things I do, and then if I can, I'll try to ramp it up a bit. But I did have a dad and his son walk out in a small Kelowna show because of my gimmick. He clearly had never seen my gimmick before. I was humping the pole or something, whatever I was doing. And the guy that was in the ring, the babyface that was in the ring before me, because I was champion, so I came out second, he tapped that worker on the leg from on the floor, and the guy just looked down at him, and he looked him straight in the eye and said, "This is a family show," and he walked out. So but on the other side of that is, yes, we technically lost two people who had already paid their ticket, so joke's on them. So we already got their money. But I also bring in a different demographic. So when you have these family shows, I have had people come back with more friends, with more ticket buyers, because they're in that 20 to 35 demographic that used to watch the Attitude Era, used to watch DX, and used to watch all these things, and they watch PWG, and they watch Bullet Club, and they like that edgy gimmick, and they keep coming back, and they come back month after month after month, and they keep bringing friends. So I always have that section that is there because of that gimmick. So you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like when I did the no class gimmick. I worked the gimmick 24/7.
Oh boy!
When I was in the ring. I did. I worked it in the ring. Everybody knows my real name is Dennis. I'm not going to deny that. Yeah. When I left the ring, I left Bobby Bass there. I think you understand what I'm saying, Colin. You couldn't be that guy 24 hours a day. Like my good friend May, he rest his feet, Killer Car Croup. Croup couldn't go no place without being recognized. And Johnny and Jeff will tell you, I kept a low profile. Maybe that's why I got over a lot. I never went to bars, never got in fights. Probably got my ass kicked if I did. I mean, the thing is, I worked it. I worked the no-class gimmick. And I worked it to everything I had. And I'll be honest, the guys in the back say, "You're stealing the show." Excuse me? Stealing the show? What are you talking about? I didn't understand that. I went out and did what I did to be Bobby Bass. And, I'm semi-main event, a third on the match. If they can't follow it, hey, don't jump on my case. And I got a lot of heat from the guys in the back. And I told them, we don't like it. Like Jeff and John sitting there, I would take team with two of the greatest guys in the Maritimes, Rotten Ronnie Starr and the Cuban Assassin. Now, if you ever see that guys work, we worked 45, 50 minutes a night, an hour. And boy, it wasn't just grabbing the headlock, it was up and down, bang, 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 bang. And hey, we got a lot of heat. And it's up to the main event to follow that. We have no control over that. You know what I'm saying? If you understand what I'm saying,
Yeah, I get it. I'm actually glad. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a good point. Because I think that everybody in the back that should be your goal. Your goal should be to go out and steal the show. Now, maybe not to steal certain reactions, and I understand that, and maybe avoid certain things like too many dives or going too far out into the crowd. There are rules and there are things that you need to limit leading into the main event, but your character is your character, and your character should be 100%. You should be going out, and whatever you have planned or whatever whatever you're trying to get over, you should be doing that to the best of your ability. You should be trying to steal the show, and you should be trying to get that crowd reaction. And if everybody tried to do that on the show, all our attendance would be up, and people would be invested, and they would keep coming back, because I don't want guys to go out and hold back and shit the bed, and then now I have to come out and try to follow that and get the crowd back. I'd rather you have the crowd hot, and then I can build off that. And if I don't keep that crowd up, that's on me. That's not on the guy that went on before me.
Well, when we got into business, and I was in the business a lot of years from 67 to 92, but would you agree with this? The first match, you turn the flame up a little bit. Second match turned up a little bit higher. Third match turned the flame higher until you get to the full flame. So what you're doing, and today you got to open the match on the microphone. We never did that. You wrote and had a 20-minute match. Take it up higher. Never get on the microphone. We didn't get on the microphone until we were told get on the microphone. And one of the best promoters I ever met, I'll give you my break, with Mr. Al Tomko out in BC. I was there for 3 weeks. I was there for 3 years. And Al was great. Don't touch yourself. No spitting. No swearing. Don't go on the mic to your toes. And there are rules and regulations that you learn as you go into business, and you're a pro. You get the heat, and you go on the mic when you're supposed to, not the first match. My question to you is, would you agree or disagree with that? That's what I want to ask you.
I agree 100%, and I think the show needs to build, and there's nothing I hate more on the show than every match grabbing the microphone, especially if you're not good on the microphone, and all these guys are grabbing the microphone, and I don't know who's telling them to go on it. It's like if I work a 20 to 30 minute main event, and I get that crowd just wet in their pants by the end of that match, and then you grab the microphone after it's all said and done and kill that crowd, and then they go home, I'm going to be pissed. And it's happened to me
you bring them right down.
numerous times. It's like I didn't just go bump my ass off and do all that work for you to kill the crowd on the mic.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that you know what? I'm glad you said that, because you work your butt off, and some guy grabs the mic and he kills it. And then you work your butt off for nothing. You look at that guy and go, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
He thinks there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
And I used to get so mad at people who get on the mic. And, I didn't do a lot in the ring at Jeff and John, I tell you. I was a walker, talker, and a bullshitter. If I worked for you for 20 minutes, you can bet your butt 9 to 10 of that minutes me talking and having fun with the crowd, and I'm saying to you, take a break, we have fun, we get our stuff in, boom, boom, boom. And another thing, if you ask the kid to go a half hour, like you just said, or 45 or an hour today, they die. What?
Oh, of course.
40 minutes? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
My personal opinion, I don't think the young kids can go that long today. That's my opinion.
I think though. I agree, but I also kind of disagree. So it's a kind of mix of the two. I think we lack a little bit of the crowd work, but I think again we're a little bit faster paced business now. So I think maybe 45 minutes, depending on who the workers are, is a little bit tough. I think it's still by getting their stuff in. I don't think that I know that. That's sorry, my dog is trying to get up onto my lap here. I 100% know that guys are too concerned about getting their stuff in, and they aren't thinking about what the crowd is feeling, and they're not listening to the crowd. And the one thing we all have to realize as wrestlers and entertainers is that's the only reason we're there. The only reason we're there is to bring the crowd in, get them invested, let them digest everything we're doing, which is another thing I see all the time is guys rushing from spot to spot to spot to spot.
Yeah.
If you do 5 spots and then rest, the crowd only digests maybe one of those 5 spots. and the rest is just confusing, right? You got to do your thing, give the crowd a second to digest it, then move on. Otherwise, it's confusing. It's a cluster. And then by the end of the match, people don't even know what they've seen, right? So I think it can it can still be done, but we still, within the in-betweens of letting the crowd digest, we are a bit of a faster paced generation with more elaborate
definitely
spots. So I think maybe 45, and I think that's the reason why most guys can't do 45, but I still think it can be done. And I still think crowd work is very underrated, right?
And Kevin Jeffers just sent me a message, said, thank you, Bobby Bass, for bringing up the microphone. I totally agree with you on that. Colin knows very well how much I hate anyone on there. There has to be a reason.
Yeah. Well, and me and Jeffries talk about this all the time, and I always make the joke while guys are doing promos. I say, wrap it up, boys, when I'm in the back, because guys don't know, like, there's too many promos in shows, but guys also don't know to keep them short. And that goes for in the ring and on the internet when guys do their internet promos. If you do a promo and then you look at the time and it's 5 minutes, redo it. Redo it and put it up at 1 minute, because nobody wants to listen to you ramble on for 5 minutes. Unless it's on a video podcast.
If you're Paul Heyman.
Unless you're Paul
What
Heyman.
made me laugh is what made me laugh to go.
Why Roman Reigns doesn't know, because he's lousy.
Talking about.
We had an
Who
independent show here this summer, and there were some guys in the show that I'm sure John may have seen, the same guys on the same tour last summer. And there was a gentleman that came out. I'll call him a gentleman. He came out for 10 minutes before the match. Not a word of lie. 10 minutes. And all he kept saying was, I'm from America. You people in Canada suck. And that's all he kept saying, side to side, for 10 minutes and going on, before they even brought the music up to bring the other guy out. And by that point, first of all, I'm sitting here going, like, how long is this going to go on? Is the guy in the back, like, was he busy taking a dump and they needed to buy some time?
Right.
And when we get out there, both of them are backyarders who couldn't wrestle in the first place. So, but like you say, there's a time and a place and a reason for those things. But if you're just going to go out there, and if you've got to just stand there and go, I'm America, Canada sucks, for 10 minutes to try to get yourself heel heat, then, you obviously you've got to get into a different line of work.
Right. Well, I think too with the elongated promos is a lot of that. It's the same thing with guys doing too many moves. A lot of that is ego, and it's I've bored Bobby Bass. He's out of here.
He's gone for a glass of milk, probably.
He's sick of me.
Time to take the Geritol.
I'm getting the coffee, Jeff. I'm getting the coffee.
Oh, I'm wearing you out. That's what it is. He needs coffee. I'm wearing him out. Grab me a beer while you're up. No, but what I'm saying is I think the reason why guys are getting on the mic when they don't need to or elongate these promos is ego. It's all about them, and it's all about getting themselves over. I have one of the most egotistical characters in Western Canada, but I know that it is a team effort day in and day out, from bell to bell, in the match and in the show. We have to know what everybody else's role is on the show. You have to know what your role is, and sometimes your role is not all about you, and is not all about just getting you over. Sometimes most of the time my role is about getting that guy over and getting that guy to look better. And I think that's something that is getting lost more and more, and everyone is just worried about what they're doing and what makes them look good, and they're not thinking about what makes sense. And that drives me crazy. If it doesn't make sense, don't do it.
Exactly. And now Xander in the chat said, should promos only be cut backstage like the old days? Jesse, the Body Ventura, says guys should meet in the ring when they fight to keep that energy and magic. And I did see that interview on YouTube probably the last few days where he said that, where, there shouldn't be any of this in the ring doing these promos and stuff. It should be backstage where they don't even see each other, and they really don't even see each other face to face until that meeting in the ring. And do you think that that's something that should be done, or the way they're doing it now is just the evolution of the business and the way it should be? Or
I think you can argue either way. I think it's easier now to have the promos be out of the ring, because now we have the internet and we have Twitter and we have more portals to get those promos out, and they hit more people, right? They're going to hit not just the people live in an arena, but they're going to go all around the world. But I think when they're placed properly, in-ring promos can really push a character forward and really get good reaction, because especially if, like, if I have to promote myself for future angles, but my match this night is really just a quick squash match to get myself over, maybe I'm going to do a promo promoting something in the future months, right? Like I did a promo last month for All-Star Wrestling where I was doing a cougar casting call where I'm getting cougars from all over the world to send me videos, and I'm going to pick a cougar to come out to the ring with me. Well, that's setting up for me having a female valet or having somebody come out with me, right? So there are times when those in-ring promos can help push a storyline or push an angle, but I think most of them can be done out of the ring. So it's a fair point.
Very good.
Colin, let me interrupt for a minute. When we did our promos, and I'm going back to the 70s with All-Star Wrestling,
Right.
left and right, we'll walk over to late great Ron Moore, do our interviews, the heels, go back in, and on the right-hand side, baby faces. We never met in front of the ring. We did them in front of the ring, but we never stayed there and argued with each other unless Al had a gimmick going on, and I argued with the babyface and he argued with me, Guy Mitchell, or whoever it may be. But 9 times out of 10, we never did them in the back. We did them in the front. And I think John and Jeff noted when we did with Grand Prix, we did them right on the TV station floor. I do mine, I'll come Leo or the Cuban, and that's the way they were done then. And I thought they were great like that because the people would see us in the match. We leave the ring, Leo do his, and we'll walk back in and do ours. Because you're still talking about the match and what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. That's the way we did them, and I thought that worked really good. The era maybe changing,
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I guess I've never really thought that much about placement of in-ring and out-of-ring promos, but I think any promo, when placed properly with the right person promoting what it is they're promoting, can push and elevate any storyline or angle forward. I think a lot of it just comes down to, should this guy be the guy doing the promo or having the mic? I'm also a big fan of post-match promos where the guy that wins gets interviewed by the ring announcer and cuts a promo about the guy he just wrestled and then what his next goal is too, right? So I'm a fan of all different types of promos. I just think they need to be limited, and I can't stress enough how much I hate seeing promos and guys on the mic kill momentum of a crowd from all the workers that just bump their ass off, right?
I'm going to ask you a question there, and I kept forgetting about it. Being an old guy, you forget things, you see. But here's the thing. Do you think, and I don't think this should happen, that another guy should use another guy's finish for a high spot? We were told never, ever use, and I'll give you a prime example. I think Johnny was there that night. I was in the Halifax Forum working against the Cuban. We went at it, boom, boom. He threw me out 2 minutes into the match. He said, I'm going to give you a DDT. I said, I'm not getting up.
Right.
He said, what? I said, I'm not getting up. And I said, the match is over. He said, what? I said, you give me DDT. I'm not getting up.
Right.
Plain and simple. So I threw him off and got back in the ring. I thought I was doing right because if you give a guy a DDT on concrete, come on, Colin, yourself, you're not getting up. And if you do, you destroy the business. That's the way I thought at that time, and that's the way I think today. So I'll let you answer that one for me. It's all the fans.
So sorry, you did break up a little bit, but I get what you're saying. So should somebody use somebody else's finisher for a high spot? And I think, again, it depends how established that finisher is. I mean, you see, like, how many people know that that's your finisher? If I go into All-Star and I have a match with somebody and they steal my finisher, how many people are really going to know that that guy is stealing my finisher?
Believe it or not, be surprised at how many people know. If they follow you, they know what your finish is.
Right.
Like Steve Austin,
Right, but my point
is... say more.
But my point is, the whole point of stealing a finisher is to get that heat. So if a lot of those guys don't even know that it's my finisher, what was the point of that, right? When you look at, like, John Cena and The Rock at WrestleMania, that was a big part of them two getting their one-ups on each other. But I will say... I will say that if you're going to steal a guy's finisher, never do it better than him.
Exactly.
Some guys can't help doing it better than them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's hard. I wish you were around years ago when we were there. we never stole anybody finishes. So it
Right.
always gave us ideas to come up with things to do.
Right.
Gee, John, did I ever have a finish? Besides jumping out the ring and going back to the dressing room. I mean, I don't think I had a finish, Colin, to be honest with you. No,
You
did
had
I,
two of
John?
them. You had two of them.
Yeah,
You had two
Yeah,
finishes.
your finish was usually a chair or a cane to the back of someone's head. Is basically what your finish was. And
Oh,
it was
disqualification.
Grabbing his opponent's tights or trunks, or putting his feet on the second ropes for leverage. Those were his
Yeah,
finishes.
the second feet on the ropes was something he used to pull a lot too. I remember the
You know
long
what?
blue
You know what?
trunks and the blue yellow boots on the ropes.
No, that worked in them days. Simple, easy
Right.
move. Now today, and Kevin ain't gonna like this because Kevin, we're good friends for 34 years, but we're getting arguments all the time. Hey, you're gonna have to cut some guy's nuts out today and have him bleed to death in the middle of the ring before you can pin a 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Answer me that question, my friend. Go
Yeah, and I think it's the way the business is progressing, and false finishes are becoming more and more false finishes are becoming very popular. So it is getting harder to have realistic 3 counts because guys are just kicking out of everything.
Yeah.
I think we need to do a bit of a reset. I think it's the same thing if you look at WWE's PG era now compared to the Attitude Era where you had all the tables, ladders, and chairs match and things progressed to be absolutely ridiculous. A lot of people complain about wrestling. People complain about wrestling being a lot slower now, but I think it's a bit of a reset because where are we supposed to go, right? Short of pulling out a gun or an axe and murdering someone in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Right? What do we do? So I think we need that time to have a bit of a reset, but I think guys also need to focus on making the moves they do count a little more and making them a little bit more impactful, right? Making guys look at the moves you do and go, holy shit, that looked like it sucked, or that looked like it really hurt, right?
What
about
kind of
Colin,
gets to me?
Hang on. What about the old reverse turnbuckle? Bang! Guy grabs you tight, put you down, put your foot on the ring. 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Whatever happened to that?
Yeah,
I still
and
get
to be
over it.
honest, well, Bass, you got to come to Cloverdale and watch the Cougar Meat Kid work sometime because I'm a huge fan.
I'm on the 24th of June. 24th of June.
I
They're
still,
gonna give
to
me
this day, I do lots of tight roll-ups. I do feet on the ropes. A heel should cheat. A heel should be cheating. Sorry, I'm having a wrestling match right now. If my dog is losing his mind. Hardy, relax. Yeah, he's going for my belt. I think he's about in my weight class. So, no, but I think
Kevin told me to ask you something.
He told what?
Kevin told me to ask you something.
Okay.
Have you ever sold out the Cloverdale Arena?
Me personally, no. I have never drawn a sold-out crowd.
He told me, Kevin, if you're listening, he told me to tell you this. When you sell out as many times as Bobby Bass did, then you become a legend.
Oh, he called you a legend. That's very nice of him.
Oh yeah, well that's right. I said, so we're gonna pick on you in Vegas. You can bet your butt on that. Pal.
Was that Kevin? Was that Kevin's sly way of saying you're old, Bobby Bass? I think he was.
Oh yeah,
yes,
definitely. I admit it. I have no. You an old guy.
But when he says
when
he says sellout, does he mean filling the arena with people, or does he mean maybe the opposite version of sellout? You know,
me just selling out.
Also, no, I mean Bass.
Probably a little bit.
Oh, Bass, yeah.
Well, I remember me and Jake going in there. When Shake Roberts when he came into Vancouver. I was the top heel, and we sold out everywhere wherever we went, and we didn't do nothing. I tell him to change it today.
But it's era too, though.
Yeah.
Not very many independents in Canada, especially Western Canada, ever sell out. It's just not the same era as sellouts were a lot different in the 80s, right? It was. Sorry,
I'm going back to 70s. I'll be honest with you.
70s, there you go.
But you just said it yourself. You get in there and you work your butt off, and you go out there and you do everything you can to get that crowd, and you wonder why they don't come back. It's amazing to me that you'll go there.
I think though too, like back in the 70s, we didn't have internet, right? So like I've been made fun of before because I've watched the WWE Network while looking at Japanese wrestling on my phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can watch multiple matches at the same time, and then you can go to independent show in Kitsilano, and you can go to an independent show in Cloverdale, and then you can go to Kelowna and Vernon, and you can go to all these different indie shows.
Yeah.
Then WWE comes maybe once a year, and then you go home and watch matches on the internet. It's so accessible now, and I think people get burnt out watching these things. Plus, we run too many shows a lot of the times now. Like a lot of these towns aren't meant to be once a month towns.
Yeah.
But places still run them like they are once a month towns, and people get tired. And then also these young local, like young indie guys like me, when we first start, we get all our friends to come. Well, how many of these month-to-month shows are your friends going to come to?
Yeah.
First 2 years of my career, my friends came to all my shows, and now my friends come maybe 2 a year, right? Because they've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just totally different time, right?
It is. And you know, when you were talking about internet, we used to do the same finish every night of the week in different towns. You can't do that today.
Yep.
You're the first four guys I ever told that to. I mean, if I was working with me and Cuban,
Right.
we did the same finish. Nobody knew because we town to town to town.
Right.
Yet today you do the same finish on the internet, you know, and you got to do a different finish.
Well, and that also and that also helps you guys work out what works and what didn't, right? So you can do all the smaller towns leading up to a big town, run the same match, tweak it and tweak it and tweak it, and then build that chemistry with someone you may not have had chemistry with. And then when you get to that big town like a Cloverdale, you can blow the roof off the place with all of the spots you were doing before. And you just can't really do it now. I'm not too worried about that. I will do spots that I think worked in a smaller town to a bigger town, whether or not those videos are on the internet. I think if people are big enough wrestling marks, as we call them, to look at all those videos, they're not going to care if I'm running the same spots over and over again. Oh, he's really got a hold of my arm here. Hold on.
What kind of dog is it, dog?
It's a wiener
okay,
dog.
just a little one. Okay. Oh, he's a little guy.
There he is.
He's losing
Why
his
wouldn't
mind.
the cougar meat kid have a wiener dog? Yeah, of course.
Wiener. Yeah, I love wieners. It's true. I'm all about wieners.
I'm not touching that one, boys. Not me.
You,
Kevin Jeffrey.
you're not touching that one, Bass?
Kevin
I'm not
Jeffries-
touching nobody's wing.
Kevin Jeffries did tell me, he said Bass would take high backdrops always in Cloverdale and kick the ring lights out. Al Tomko would tell Bass to quit doing it, as Gene Kaniski would get mad for having to replace the lights every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had contest, $25 a piece, I think, with the hitting the lights. But you know what, Colin? You gotta love this business, and nobody loved the business more than me. I mean, I had a great time being that character and going out there and being in the ring and having fun. I think Jeff and John can tell you, I never did anything spectacular, but I was over.
No, I agree with that.
And I still to this day, no, it's true. To this day, I still can't figure out why. Why do you remember me after all the years? And I said, I didn't do nothing great. I didn't do all this fancy shit. I just walked and talked and had a good time. And it amazes me that I told Jeff and I told John, man, you still remember me? I don't know why.
The thing with that is fun. The thing with that is you don't have to as much do so many great, crazy things as, like I said, when I was a kid, we used to go watch Bass every week at our arena here. They were here every Tuesday night, all spring and summer long. There was no once every month. It was every Tuesday because they ran 7 days a week at the main town night.
Yep.
And we'd watch them on TV on Saturday. And after, whenever Bobby left Grand Prix, I don't know how old I was at the time, maybe 10 or 11 years old. I hadn't seen or heard him because, of course, without cable back at that time and without internet, you didn't know where they went in the off season. You just thought these guys went at home, drank beer all season, and waited for like a hockey season. Now, 25, 30 years later, it's like we're still looking for him. Like I go searching for him on the internet. Like, okay, I'd like to get in touch with Bobby Bass because you remember those guys. They were your heroes as kids. And you want to, that's why I've become friends with Bobby a few years ago. And then we decided after a few years of talking on the phone, becoming friends, we wanted to try to do something like this, so it's, you don't always have to be world champion or jump off of ladders and stuff for people to remember what you've done, as long as you can, make an impression on people. And I mean, that's the thing that a lot of a lot of guys in your generation now are doing, Colin, with the things that you do and the matches that you put on and the gimmicks and stuff that you do and how you put all of them into it, is that someone's going to remember what you do now 20 years from now, as opposed to what, the guy that just steps in the ring and just does his thing does,
Yeah. Well, and I hope so. And I dare you to talk to fans after a show and ask them what their favorite match is, and then ask them what their favorite moves were or what their favorite part of the match was. And the chances of them remembering any of that, other than maybe the finish, is slim to none, right? Those moves in that story we tell, they're just for that 10 to 30 minutes. That's the whole point of that. It's to bring them in and make them and suspend that disbelief for that 10 to 30 minutes. But the things they're going to remember is, me humping a pole and me stripping down one pair of tights. Yeah. All those people, I love that thing you did where you humped the pole and then you told that guy off and you did the splits on the rope while the ref checked you for weapons. Like, that's the things those people remember, the silly things that draw them in. And then the match is to perpetuate character.
And if that makes them smile, makes them talk about you Monday when they go to school or when they go to work, then, hey, you've done your job. And that's what it's all about.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And then they'll come back. Yeah. They'll come back because that was an entertaining character that I put on. And let's go and watch Colin hump a pole.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? Colin's right. You don't remember the moves you made, but you remember him humping the pole.
That's exactly it. Nobody. I dare anyone to call in or text or put something in here and name one move I do. Go ahead, come in and name one move I do other than pole humping. No one will be able to. No one will.
You're the damn pole humper, buddy.
I've been doing the All-Star Wrestling website for 3-4 years now, and I don't know a move you do. So
no one. And the thing is, too, and the one thing I've realized over the years, and it's also a bit of not being babyface anymore, because you do have to be a little bit more athletically move heavy when you're babyface. But less is more, right? And I really don't do as much as I did before. I'm a little more selective with the things I do. I throw a lot more kicks. I throw a lot more knees, because we're in a fight. When that bell rings, we're in a fight. And you can have all the best moves in the world, but everyone's the same when you knee them in the face.
Yeah. And that's the thing too.
Big or small.
When you it kind of goes back to what you guys were talking about earlier with the moves and the high spots. What I miss a lot is, and I don't know where it changed, is that moves that used to be devastating, like a DDT or a pile driver or finishers, now it's like it's the same as a drop kick or a punch in the face. The guy bounces up like it's nothing. When did wrestlers' heads start becoming so tough that a DDT or a pile driver doesn't finish them off or knock them out anymore? So it's kind of sad in a way to see that, whereby growing up, Paul Orndorff did a pile driver. You didn't get up from that, or Jake did a DDT. Now it's like it's like nothing.
It's a lot of things, though. It's evolution of wrestling. It's the move has been seen. It's been seen over and over again. Multiple guys are doing it. It's like the super kick, right? Nobody wanted to use a super kick as a finish anymore after Michaels retired, so everyone just started using it as a signature move, when really it's a kick to the jaw and it should keep someone down. Yeah. I think it's just over time, more and more guys are doing these moves, and then guys start kicking out, and now it becomes this thing, well, I'm not going to stay down for a DDT. Nobody stays down for a DDT. Why am I staying down for a DDT? And then nobody's going to do it anymore, right? Yeah. It's just that bit of a progression, and it is sad. It's making us kill each other. But I've always blamed the internet. The internet, as much as the internet is a great tool, look at this podcast is a good example of it. We're killing kayfabe right now doing this podcast, but that's what people want to see, because kayfabe's dead. I am the very end of a generation that still tried to keep some sort of kayfabe. And I'm a huge fan of keeping kayfabe, and I still try to keep kayfabe. I still duck in the car when I'm in the car with a baby face going up to an arena, because you still have to – our job is still to suspend disbelief in any way that we can. But because of the internet and guys know wrestling is what it is, some of these moves just aren't as believable as they once were, when we used to see guys get their head hooked and driven into the mat. Like, oh, shit, he just got his head driven into the mat. He's done. But now it's – oh, he's just doing a DDT. Fans don't think of each move as what it is that the move is doing. They think of the move as what the move is. Well, that's a DDT. Well, no, that's a guy having his head driven into wood. Yeah. Really, that's all mat and wood, and that should keep him down. But it's just evolution of the business.
I think it's great that, like you had mentioned, doing things like ducking down when you get in the arena if you're in a car with them, because even though yes, a lot of the older people on the internet and stuff can do that, it still keeps some of that alive for the little kids and the kids that don't understand the business yet. I mean, I remember as a kid when we were growing up watching Bobby and that, we had no idea that. I mean, we knew that it wasn't, because my parents had to tell us that, okay, they know what they're doing. They're not trying to hurt each other, because just so we wouldn't do it to each other.
Yeah, don't try this at home.
Yeah, but we still thought that the bad guys were real bad guys and they hated the good guys, and that, and we never saw good guys and bad guys in the same car or anywhere together, and that really kept the illusion alive for us, and that was part of what made it so much easier to believe in what was going on in the ring,
I think too, though, there was a little more focus in the earlier years of making everything you did count. And I'm going to use whips as an example. When you're whipping somebody into the corner, whipping somebody into the ropes, you see a lot of really shitty whips now. And that's because guys are trying to space themselves out for an aerial move or like a reverse or bounce off the ropes or whatever. But if you don't look like you're putting weight into a whip, why is that guy running into the ropes and why are they running? It's simple things like that. I think we neglect now, and it takes away from the realism of what you're doing. I think a whip should have some weight behind it. I think every punch should have a wind up and a follow through. I think every kick should have sound, whether it's just because of the kick or because of some other way you're making that sound. I think you need to focus on all the little things a little more instead of the transitions from spot to spot.
Definitely. I just wanted to because we're getting close to the end of our time here, but I wanted to bring up the fact that next week, February 26th, All-Star Wrestling will be at Cloverdale Fairgrounds at the Alice McKay Building.
Correct.
And our special guest, Mr. Cutler, will be defending his ASW Cruiserweight title in a 2 out of 3 falls match against Cobra Kai, who's the RCW Commonwealth champion. So tell us a little bit about that and what to expect when the fans come out next week to see that match.
Yeah, so I've only ever met Cobra Kai once. I've seen him work in the ring, and he is extremely talented. Not gonna beat me by any means, because let's be honest. But he is a very mysterious character. He is a very interesting character. I understand he hisses a lot like a snake, which I'm not a fan of snakes, so I don't know if I'm too keen on this matchup altogether. I might have to get a wrangler to come out with me. But the Cougar McKid always has tricks up his sleeves, so even if there's something that takes me off guard, I got plan A, I got plan B, I got plan C through Z. So there's absolutely no way, and I guarantee you I will put my kokanee beer on this at Cauliflower Alley, that there's absolutely no way this Cruiserweight Championship is not coming home with the Cougar Meat Kid. And it's going to stay with me for a long time to come. And it's going to be a tremendous match. We're Cruiserweights. We're going to be doing all those high spots Bobby Bass is such a fan of, mixed in with a lot of kicks and knees. I'm a hard-hitting competitor, so if you've never seen All-Star Wrestling and you're in the Cloverdale, Surrey, Vancouver area, you have to come out and see one of these shows, because you got Cougar Meat Kid on it. You got Mad Ecstatic. As much as I'm not a fan of this guy as a person, because we have our feud, he's a tremendous talent that just gets better and better every time I see him and always takes me to the limit. We got Adam Ryder, the heavyweight champion. He's going to be there. Simbodi is going to be there. If you know him from WWE as Kazarni, he's going to be on that show. So, and pro wrestling is some of the cheapest live entertainment you can go out and see. Yeah. If you're a fan at all, you have to come out and see it. Another company I need to promote is ICW in Kelowna, is doing charity shows in May. So we have May 6th in Kelowna and May 7th in Vernon. We have Mick Foley on both those shows. The YMCA Strong Kids charity, which is near and dear to my heart because I work very closely with that charity. They're the main beneficiary. Is that the right word, Bobby? Beneficiary?
No, I'm fine. Right. I'm fine. Yeah.
That was good. Okay, you got to watch it.
Yeah. He doesn't know any words bigger than 2 syllables. You're asking the wrong guy, Colin.
So they're going to be getting most of the donations for the Kelowna show, and then Boys and Girls Club in Vernon, and the 2 mics that'll run that Mike Rizzo, who is part of my Adult Social Society group here in Kelowna. He helps run that, and he is a tremendous promoter. So those shows are going to be awesome. We got the midgets. Short Sleeve Samson is going to be there as well. So, I mean, that show is going to be absolutely phenomenal, and it's for a great cause. But you're right. Next week, February 26th at the Alice McKay Building, All-Star Wrestling, Colin Cutler versus Cobra Kai for the All-Star Wrestling Cruiserweight Championship. 2 out of 3 falls. It's going to be a barn burner.
Now, don't want to put you on the spot. You've been kind of.
You mean the house of Bobby Bass built in Cloverdale? Hang on, Jeff. The house of Bobby Bass built in Cloverdale. And hey, you know something, Colin? I just thought of a great idea. Me and Kevin Jeffries to get Junior partner, Paul Sebastian, for charity.
Yeah. Let's
we
do
don't
it.
do jobs. And we don't do jobs.
Yeah, I know Jeffries doesn't do jobs. Trust me.
Hey, listen, Colin, great having you on our show tonight. And anytime you want to come back, you and Kyle, we'd love to have you guys on. And I'll probably see you in April in Vegas. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm
you'll
glad
see me in Vegas.
You were a very good guest tonight.
It's about time. It's about time you had me on the show, Bass, but I really appreciate it. Jeff, thanks for working out all the technical issues. And John, it was nice to meet you. I had a blast. This is great. I can talk about this business for hours and hours.
Now, before you do go, though.
I got
Oh, sorry, Bass has got. Of course, he's got something else. Go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Way to end the show, Bass. Good closing remarks.
They used to it. Go ahead, Jeff.
I would like to try to end it in style, though, not to put you on the spot. Now, you talked about your match coming up and stuff like that, but we've seen a glimpse of, the man behind the character and stuff, but I don't know that we've really truly seen the Cougar Meat Kid tonight. So I'm wondering, hey, could you grab the belt and maybe just as a closing thing, cut a promo for this show coming up next week, and let us see, those of us who haven't really had an opportunity to see the Cougar Meat Kid, tell us all what it's all about here.
Hang on, Jeff. Before you cut your promo, don't forget to cut a promo for our show, too. Pure Class with Bobby Bass. There you go.
I'll mix it all in. So here we go.
Good.
First of all, I have to give a little viewer discretion here because the following segment may not be, is probably not suited for all ages, and viewer discretion is advised. So put the kiddies to bed or shield our eyes, because I am your All-Star Wrestling Cruiserweight Champion and Professional Wrestling's cutest champion, and one hell of a tasty treat. I'm the kid they call Cougar Meat, and I am on Pure Class with Bobby Bass, the greatest podcast to ever exist in the history of life. And next week, Friday, February 26th, I will be defending my All-Star Wrestling Cruiserweight Championship against Cobra Kai. But before I go, I would like all the Cougars out there to just do me 3 quick favors. Be loud, be proud, but for the love of God, please, oh please, be gentle.
Awesome.
And buy my merch.
Yes, foam fingers. Foam fingers are a must. So, Mr. Bass loved it so much he left.
He's out.
So, no, thanks so much for coming on, Colin. It was fantastic. We appreciate you coming on. It's been great, and we hope that you'll join us again sometime. And we'll secretly up from the East Coast here. I'll send you some positive vibes next Saturday night. Not that you'll need them, but So.
That's right. I don't need them, but I will accept them. Thank you so much for having me on, and it was a blast.
Go get
take care, Colin.
See you later.
All right, see you guys.